Hey, my name is Miles. I'm 30 years old and I live in Spokane, Washington. I manage the warehouse at Coleman Hardware and Supply, a family-owned store that sells everything from PVC pipes to power tools. It's not the kind of job that makes for good stories at dinner parties. Most days I count inventory, fix misplaced orders, and make sure the shelves don't look like someone threw a fit in the middle of the night. I like the order of it. A missing screw can be replaced. A crooked hinge can be straightened. People are harder. My life is simple. I wake up, go to work, come home to a quiet apartment, heat up leftovers, watch a few home repair videos, and fall asleep. I'm not lonely in some dramatic way. The phone just doesn't light up much after 9 o'clock, and sometimes I wonder if having someone to come home to would make the silence feel less loud. That Friday night blind date was my cousin Rachel's idea. She said I should meet a woman named Lena Harper, 28, a graphic designer at a print shop downtown. She's a little busy, a little scattered, but she's good people, Rachel told me. Just don't give her your warehouse face. I didn't know what my warehouse face was, but I agreed anyway. We were supposed to meet at Riverside Cafe at 7. I got there 5 minutes early, wearing the cleanest shirt I owned and jeans that didn't have sawdust on them. The place was packed. Families, couples, groups of teenagers, the constant clatter of dishes and the hiss of the espresso machine. I found a booth in the back corner, ordered coffee, and waited. 7:10, 7:15, 7:23. Still no message. I was starting to get irritated, not because I thought I was God's gift, but because if you make plans, you show up, or at least tell someone you're running late. I opened my phone and started typing to Rachel. She's not coming. I'm heading home. I hadn't even hit send when the front door flew open. A woman rushed in like she'd just escaped a storm, brown hair escaping from a messy ponytail, crossbody bag sliding off her shoulder, face flushed and panicked. She was holding the hand of a little girl, maybe 8 years old, wearing a purple jacket and light-up sneakers that flashed pink and blue with every step. The woman scanned the room, and her eyes landed on me. I saw the exact moment she realized I was about to leave. Her expression shifted. Embarrassment, relief, panic, all at once. She pulled the little girl toward my booth, breathing hard. "You're Miles, right?" "I'm Lena. I'm so sorry. I know I'm late. I know this looks terrible. She stopped and looked down at the girl. The child was staring at me with intense focus. Not the usual curious kid stare. She was studying my face, my hands, my mouth, like she was reading something beyond words. Then she tugged on Lena's sleeve and started signing. I froze. I recognized American Sign Language. I wasn't fluent, but I'd worked with a deaf coworker named Marcus for 2 years. He taught me enough to get by in the warehouse. "Need help? Lunch? Careful, this is heavy. Thank you." Lena watched the girl's hands, her face softening. She signed something back, then turned to me, her voice quieter. She says, "You have kind eyes." Every ounce of irritation I'd felt for the last 23 minutes disappeared. I looked at the little girl and kept my hands where she could see them. My signing was slow and probably grammatically wrong, but I tried. "Thank you. I like your shoes." "Very cool." The girl's whole face lit up. She looked down at her sneakers, stomped once so the lights flashed, and grinned. Lena stared at me like I'd just performed a magic trick. I shrugged off my jacket and sat back down. "Well," I said, "I'm not leaving yet." Lena stood there for a second like she couldn't quite believe it. I slid the menu toward her. "Sit down. Have you two eaten?" The girl looked up at Lena. Lena still seemed stunned. "Ethan, I should explain, she's not mine. Her name is Maya. She's my niece. My sister was supposed to pick her up from school, but she didn't show, and she's not answering her phone. My friend was going to watch her for an hour so I could come here and apologize to you, but her car broke down. My phone died. Everything just happened too fast. I didn't know what else to do except bring her with me." She was talking fast, like she was afraid if she paused I'd walk out. "I know this isn't how dates are supposed to go. If you want to leave, I get it. I'm really sorry." I looked at Lena, exhausted, hands still shaking a little, then at Maya, who was now drawing on the condensation of her water glass with her fingertip. I had two choices: go home, eat cold leftovers, and feel justified about being stood up, or stay with a woman who was barely holding it together and a kid who had just told me I had kind eyes. I flagged the waitress. Another coffee for me, hot tea for her, and a kid's menu for Maya. Lena looked at me. You don't have to do this. I know. Then why are you? I glanced at Maya, then back at Lena. Because my usual Friday night is reheated food and falling asleep on the couch. This is already more interesting. For the first time since she walked in, Lena smiled for real. And that's how the strangest date of my life began. Lena kept apologizing. She apologized for being late. She apologized for bringing Maya. She apologized for the noise in the cafe. She apologized because Maya needed to see people's mouths when they spoke. She apologized because her phone had died and she couldn't text. I finally had to stop her. Lena, I said, if you apologize one more time, I'm going to make you eat all the vegetables on my plate. Maya watched us, not understanding every word, but when Lena laughed, she laughed too. I asked Maya with simple signs what she wanted to eat. She signed fast. I only caught chicken and fries. Lena translated. Maya wants chicken fingers and fries. Lots of fries. I nodded seriously. Reasonable request. Maya looked at Lena, then signed something else. Lena covered her mouth to hide a smile. She says you understand more than most grown-ups. She's a good judge of character. The air slowly started to settle. I learned that Lena had been a graphic designer for 6 years. She hated about 60% of her clients, but still loved the moment a finished print came off the machine. Maya was in 3rd grade, loved drawing, hated math, and was obsessed with light-up shoes. Her mother, Lena's older sister Kara, had been struggling since her husband left a few years ago, and lately, Kara had been disappearing more often, leaving Maya with Lena. Lena told the story lightly, but I heard everything she wasn't saying. She wasn't just an aunt. She was the family's backup plan. Every time Kara fell apart, Lena had to stand up. Every time Maya got forgotten, Lena had to run. Every time their mother said, "You're so good with Maya," it really meant no one else wanted to carry that weight. I asked, "Does this happen a lot?" Lena glanced at Maya, who was coloring a hamburger on the kids' menu purple. More often lately. Kara says she needs time to find herself, but herself always seems to be somewhere far away from Maya's school. I didn't laugh. The tiredness in her voice was too real. Are you angry at her? Lena stared into her tea. Sometimes. Then I feel guilty for being angry. Then I get angry that I have to feel guilty. I nodded. Sounds like an old plumbing system. She looked at me confused. Everything leaks a little, so no one fixes it properly. Then when the floor floods, everyone asks why you didn't mop faster. Lena studied me for a long moment. You talk in the strangest way. I manage a hardware warehouse. This is the deepest I get. She smiled, but her eyes were a little red. The dinner lasted longer than I expected. After Maya finished eating, she pulled out a tablet and started drawing. She drew the 3 of us sitting in the booth, Lena, me, and herself, with shoes glowing like stage lights. In the picture, I had a slightly square head. I signed slowly. Is my head really that square? Maya laughed so hard she almost dropped the stylus. Lena watched the moment and something in her face changed. I didn't know exactly what she was thinking, but her expression softened in a way that made my throat tighten. When we finally left the cafe close to 9, Lena apologized 3 more times in the parking lot. I stopped her beside her car. Lena. Yeah? This is the strangest date I've ever been on. Her face fell. I kept going. But it's not the worst. Actually, I want to see you again. She looked at me, half exhausted, half hopeful. Even if next time might still include Maya? I glanced into the back seat. Maya had fallen half asleep, her shoes still flashing in the dark. Especially if it includes Maya. I need payback for the squarehead. Lena laughed for real this time. No hesitation. We exchanged phone numbers. As her car pulled away, Maya woke up just enough to sign something through the window. I didn't catch all of it, but I think it was goodbye. And each touches on over the next few weeks, I started stepping into Lena's life in small, ordinary ways. Saturday morning coffee, Thursday night takeout, trips to the park so Maya could draw trees. I practiced more signs. Maya corrected me with the seriousness of a teacher whenever I messed up. One evening I stopped by Lena's apartment and found Maya sitting on the floor looking like the world had ended. Her small wooden art shelf had fallen off the wall. Markers, paper, and watercolor paints were scattered everywhere. Lena sighed. It fell this morning. Maya tried to tape it back up. It didn't work. Maya looked at me, trying to stay calm, but her eyes were glassy. I sat down beside her and checked the wooden board and the damaged wall. I signed slowly. Want to fix it together? Maya blinked, then nodded hard. I didn't fix it for her. I just guided her step by step, sanding the edges, wiping off old glue, marking new spots, using better anchors, holding the level steady. I handed her a pencil so she could mark the screw holes herself. Lena stood in the kitchen doorway, quietly watching. When the shelf was back on the wall, Maya arranged her art supplies on it and then wrapped her arms around my waist. She signed, "Thank you." I signed back, "You did good." Maya smiled so wide her whole face lit up. That night, after Maya fell asleep, Lena stood in the kitchen doorway looking at me. "You didn't just fix the shelf," she said. "I used the right anchors." "No, you made her feel like she fixed it too." I didn't know what to say. Lena stepped closer, then stopped. There was only a small space between us, but neither of us crossed it. I was starting to realize I was falling into something bigger than one strange date. And I wasn't sure Lena had room in her life for it. 3 months after that first night at Riverside Cafe, everything changed. Kara got evicted from her apartment for unpaid rent. She disappeared for 2 days, then sent Lena one short text. "I need to get back on my feet. Can you keep Maya for a while? I'm in Seattle with a friend. I'll let you know when I'm stable." A while could mean a week. It could also mean a year. Lena read the message in the parking lot of the print shop and immediately called her mother. Her mother only said, "Kara's going through a hard time. Just help your sister. You're so good with Maya anyway." I heard Lena repeat that sentence over the phone, and I hated it instantly. "You're so good with Maya" really meant, because you're responsible, we're going to keep piling more responsibility on you. Lena started the temporary guardianship paperwork. Forms piled up on her kitchen table. School records, medical authorization, court dates, doctor appointments, birth certificates, copies of IDs. Her one-bedroom apartment, already small, it turned into a storage unit of clothes, books, and Maya's belongings. Maya slept on the sofa. At first, she didn't complain. Every morning, she folded the blanket, stacked the pillows, and tried to act like she wasn't taking up space. But the more a child tries not to be a burden, the more it breaks your heart. Lena noticed Maya's shoulders were always tense. She saw her hesitate before inviting friends over. She watched her draw a picture of a small room with a door, a desk, and art shelves, then hide the paper. Lena started avoiding me. I texted to ask if she needed dinner brought over. She said she was busy. I asked about coffee on the weekend. She said Maya was tired. I asked if everything was okay. She only replied, "Fine." I knew it wasn't fine. One Saturday morning, I was standing in the aisle between plywood and room dividers at the store when I got a long message from Lena. "Ethan, I can't do this right now. Kara basically left Maya with me. I have to handle guardianship papers, school, doctors, rent, everything. I don't have a room for Maya, and I definitely don't have space for a relationship. I can't be someone's girlfriend while I'm trying to become an accidental guardian. You've been so good to me, and I don't want to drag you into this mess. I'm sorry." I read the message twice. I didn't get angry. I didn't feel that childish sting of rejection. I just stood there staring at the pre-built room dividers in front of me. She said she didn't have space. She was right, her apartment was tiny. But space isn't something you find, it's something you create if you know how. I looked at the shelf beside me. Temporary walls, soundproof panels, tension rods that didn't require drilling, heavy curtains, small hanging shelves, screws, anchors, a level. In my head, I started measuring Lena's apartment from memory. How many square feet was the living room? Where was the sofa? Which way did the bathroom door open? Could I build a partition in the left corner? Enough room for a twin bed, an art shelf, and a fold-down desk? I opened my notes app and started calculating. This wasn't some grand romantic gesture. I wasn't trying to prove my love. I wasn't saying, "I'll save you." This was a practical problem. A child needed a place to sleep. A woman believed she had to carry everything alone. I knew how to build a room. Monday, I bought materials at the employee discount. 6 wall panels, tension frames, soundproofing, thick curtains, hanging rods, a small shelf unit, screws, anchors, and a level. I borrowed the store's truck. My coworker Marcus looked at the pile and asked, "What are you building?" "A room for my friend's niece." "Girlfriend?" I paused for a second. I don't know if she still wants me to be her boyfriend. Marcus nodded. Then build it strong. Maybe Saturday morning, I showed up at Lena's apartment at 8. She opened the door in old pajamas, hair tied in a messy knot, dark circles under her eyes. Behind her were piles of clothes, paperwork, and toys. Maya was still asleep on the sofa, curled under 2 blankets. Lena looked at me, then at the cart full of materials in the hallway. Ethan, what are you doing? I already told you I can't be your girlfriend right now. I don't have the energy for... I know. I don't have space for a relationship. I know. I set the toolbox on the floor. Right now, let's just make space for Maya. She stood frozen. I pulled one panel inside and handed her the other end. Help me hold this. It's a little heavy. Lena stared at me like I was speaking a language she didn't understand. Ethan, we're just building a wall, Lena. Maya needs a real room. You don't have to carry everything heavy by yourself anymore. Now grab the other end. I said it calmly like it was the simplest thing in the world, and maybe that's why her walls finally cracked. She stepped forward and took the end of the panel. In that moment, I understood something. This wasn't me saving her. This was me handing her one end of a board and saying, we build this together. Maya woke up around 9:30. When she saw the living room full of construction materials, she looked completely lost. Lena knelt down and signed that we were building a real room just for her. Maya stood still. Then she looked at me, eyes wide, and signed rapidly. Really? Mine? With real walls, a place for my colors? I signed back, slow and clumsy. Really, yours. We build it together. Maya started crying. We spent the entire day turning that corner of the living room into a small bedroom. I measured, Lena held the level, Maya handed me screws. I taught her how to use the spirit level, and she loved it so much she started checking if everything else in the apartment was straight. Lena laughed for the first time in days. By 4 o'clock, the partition was finished. A small space just big enough for a twin bed, an art shelf, and a fold-down desk. I added soundproofing on the inside so Maya would feel like she had real privacy. Thick curtains served as a door. Maya stepped inside, stood in the middle of her new room, touched the walls with both hands, then turned around and hugged both Lena and me at the same time. Lena cried. I almost did too, but I pretended to check a screw. That night, Maya slept on the air mattress I'd brought inside her new room. Before she fell asleep, she signed something to Lena. Lena translated, her voice thick. She says, for the first time in a long time, she has a place to dream. I sat on the living room floor next to Lena, my back against the sofa. Her shoulder touched mine. I'm sorry I pushed you away, she whispered. I understand why you did. I thought if things got hard, I had to cut out anything that wasn't necessary. I looked at her. Am I unnecessary? She shook her head, tears falling. No, you're the thing I'm scared of needing too much. I didn't kiss her. Not yet. I just took her hand. Lena, I'm not afraid of the chaos. I'm afraid you think you have to live in it alone. 3 weeks after we built the partition, the temporary guardianship hearing took place. I wasn't family, so I couldn't stand with Lena in front of the judge, but I drove her and Maya to the courthouse. I sat in the hallway holding Maya's backpack, sketchbook, snacks, noise-canceling headphones, and a spare pair of light-up shoes. Lena wore a white button-up shirt, hair pulled back neatly, hands trembling slightly as she clutched the folder of documents. Maya sat beside her, constantly looking around because the courthouse hallway was loud and overwhelming. I crouched in front of Maya and signed, "You okay?" She signed back, "I'm scared Mom won't come. I'm also scared she will." The words hit me hard. I didn't know the signs for everything I wanted to say, so I used what I had. Uncle's here. Aunt Lena's here. You're not alone. Maya looked at me for a long second, then nodded. Lena saw the exchange. Her eyes turned red, but she didn't cry. The hearing lasted less than an hour. Kara didn't show up. The judge granted Lena temporary guardianship for 6 months and ordered Kara to contact social services if she wanted to change the arrangement. It was a victory. It was also an official burden. When we walked out of the courtroom, Lena hugged Maya so tightly I thought she might never let go. I stood a few steps away. This moment belonged to them. But Maya pulled Lena's hand and pointed at me. She ran over and wrapped her arms around my waist. I froze for a second, then hugged her back gently. Lena watched us. This time, she cried. I thought the hardest part was over. I was wrong. That same evening, when we got back to the apartment, Kara was standing outside the door. She looked thinner than in the photos, hair messy, eyes exhausted. But what struck me wasn't her appearance. It was the way Maya immediately stepped behind Lena's legs. Kara tried to smile. Maya, Mommy's here. Maya didn't run to her. Lena positioned herself slightly in front of her niece. Kara, you can't just show up like this. So you got temporary guardianship and now you're keeping my daughter from me? I didn't take anything. You didn't come to court. Kara looked at me. And who are you? New boyfriend? Or the free handyman? I stayed silent. This wasn't my fight to start. Kara stepped closer. Maya, get your stuff. Mommy's taking you. Maya gripped Lena's shirt tighter. Lena's voice stayed calm, but I could hear the steel underneath. No, you can't take her right now. I have temporary guardianship. If you want to see Maya, we do it through social services. Properly. Kara gave a bitter laugh. You always did love being the good one, didn't you? You love being praised for being responsible. You love people looking at you like some kind of savior. Lena's face went pale. I saw the words hit the deepest fear inside her. That she wasn't really doing this out of love, but because she was addicted to being needed. Maya started breathing fast. She looked between Kara's mouth and Lena's hands, then became completely overwhelmed. She bolted into her small room and yanked the curtain shut. Lena turned immediately. Maya? Kara tried to follow. I stepped in front of the curtain. Stop! Kara glared at me. Move! No. You're not family. I met her eyes. You're right, but right now that little girl is terrified, and any decent adult wouldn't barge into a scared child's safe space. Kara's face hardened. Lena moved beside me. Not behind me, beside me. Kara, she said, voice shaking but clear. I love you. I know you're hurting. But I won't let you drag Maya through this just because you feel guilty today. Kara started crying. You think I'm a terrible mother? Lena was crying too. I think you're a mother who isn't okay right now, and Maya can't keep paying the price for that. The apartment went quiet. Behind the curtain, Maya peeked out through a small gap. I saw her eyes watching us. Kara looked at that narrow opening. The anger on her face slowly crumbled. For the first time, she seemed to understand it wasn't Lena stealing her child. It was Maya being afraid of her own mother's instability. Kara stepped back. I don't know how to fix everything, she whispered. Lena wiped her tears. Then start by not breaking anything else. Kara left that night after agreeing to go through social services and not try to take Maya on her own. No one won completely. But Maya stayed safe inside her small room. And sometimes, keeping a child safe for one night is the biggest victory you can ask for. After Kara left, Lena stood in front of Maya's curtain, afraid to pull it open. I signed gently toward the gap. Do you want Aunt Lena to come in? A moment later, a small hand reached out and pulled the curtain aside. Lena stepped in and dropped to her knees. Maya wrapped her arms around her and held on tight. I turned away to give them space. That night, after Maya finally fell asleep, Lena stood beside me in the kitchen. You don't have to stay in this, she said. I know. My life is a mess. I can see that. I can't promise it will get easier. I'm not asking for easy. She looked at me. Then what are you asking for? I stepped closer and touched her face lightly. I'm asking you to stop deciding for me that I should leave. Lena closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. I love you, Ethan. I stood still. Then I kissed her. It wasn't the kiss of someone coming to rescue her. It wasn't pity. It was the kiss of two people who had built a wall together, protected a child together, and understood that love doesn't always arrive when life is neat and tidy. When we pulled apart, I said, I love you too. Behind the curtain of the small room, a soft sound came from inside. Maya had peeked out, then signed quickly. Lena laughed through her tears, and she says, finally. 6 months later, Lena's apartment was still small, but it no longer felt like it was trying to swallow too many lives at once. Maya's partitioned room had become a real little world. I built her a proper wooden bed from pine. There was an art shelf, a moon-shaped nightlight, and pale blue curtains. The walls were covered with drawings. Cats wearing hats, houses with big windows, me with a slightly less square head, Lena laughing, and one picture of the three of us building a wall together. Kara had started treatment and was seeing Maya on a supervised schedule. Their relationship wasn't healed, but at least it wasn't an open wound every day. Lena was still tired. She still worried. She still woke up at 2 in the morning sometimes to check paperwork, but she no longer tried to prove she could carry everything alone. I still worked at the hardware store. I still counted inventory and argued with whoever kept misplacing the PVC pipes. But my evenings were no longer just reheated food and home improvement shows. Some nights, I went over to Lena's, fixed a drawer, installed a hanging rod, or simply sat on the floor eating pizza while Maya taught me new signs with strict patience. She was a tough teacher. If I got something wrong, she would cross her arms and look at me like a disappointed professor. One Saturday afternoon in November, we were putting together a new desk for Maya. Lena sat on the rug, frowning at the instruction manual. I held a panel while Maya stood beside us, giving orders like a construction foreman. Lena asked, "Is this panel C or panel E?" I looked. "I think it's C." Maya signed rapidly. Lena burst out laughing. "She says you two grown-ups are hopeless." I looked at Maya. "Do you want to build it yourself?" She signed, "I'll do it better." No doubt about it. Maya grinned and ran into her room to grab a pencil. When she came back, she looked at me, then at Lena. Then she signed something to Lena. Lena went quiet for a second, then smiled softly. She says, "I was right. He really does have kind eyes." I looked at Maya. She looked back at me with complete seriousness, like this was a scientific conclusion she had verified over many months. I signed slowly. "Thank you. You have kind eyes too. You see things before the grown-ups do." Maya smiled, then ran back into her room. Lena sat down beside me, her shoulder touching mine. "I used to think you would leave," she said. "I know. Because I was late. Because I brought a child. Because my life was too messy. Because Maya needed too much. Because I didn't have space." I looked at the small wall we had built together. "You said you didn't have space, but really you just needed someone willing to build it with you." She leaned her head against my shoulder. "Do you ever regret it? Not leaving the cafe that night?" "Yeah." I looked at the small room, at Maya's light-up shoes neatly placed beside her bed, at Lena sitting next to me with her hair loosely tied and a smudge of paint on her wrist. Never. Not even once? Not even once. She took my hand. "I used to think love showed up when everything was already fixed, when people had healed, when they had space, when they were ready, when life wasn't heavy anymore. But maybe real love doesn't wait for life to be neat. Maybe it arrives in a noisy cafe with a woman who's running late, a deaf little girl, a pair of flashing shoes, and the words signed across the table. He has kind eyes." Maybe love isn't about saving someone. It's about staying when they think you'll walk away. It's about learning a child's language so she knows she's been seen. It's about handing the person you love one end of a board and saying, "Hold this, we're building this together." And when people ask me when I started loving Lena, I don't say it was when she smiled or when she cried or when we kissed after Kara left. I tell them, I started loving her the moment she walked into that cafe carrying the weight of her entire world on her shoulders, and still bent down to translate for a little girl that I had kind eyes. Maya saw it before I did, and ever since that day, I've just been trying to live up to what she saw in me.